punch. I can be serious.
On Wednesdays and Fridays, maybe.
Well, I guess I have to apologize for being late, even though we were actually a half an hour early. But there was some confusion between OBS and YouTube, which, if you were following my tweets, because everybody should be following me on Twitter at the One Ton Hammer, you would know that we're making some changes to try to get the stream to operate a bit better. And apparently, there's something with OBS that if you click start streaming there, it will start streaming to YouTube without you telling YouTube to start streaming. Even though the last two streams I did, I had to actually say go live. This time it go live for me on a different stream. So I had to cancel that stream. And of course, that was at 11:35 because we were already late. And then start streaming it went to the right stream this time and gave me no go live button. So it...
Welcome to the show, everybody.
Well, yeah, welcome to the show. Anyway, the show's features for tonight, besides our crew, Jennifer, say hi.
Hello.
Terry, please.
Hello.
And I
Hi,
am
Jack.
Hammer, your other host for the evening. On the menu tonight, the Kirk versus Vaush, quote-unquote debate. That wasn't a debate. How we now duct tape passengers on airplanes if they're out of bounds.
Oh, God.
We might talk about the Olympics a little bit. I watched some of it, but I also want to talk about what's going on with vaccine mandates for everybody. And of
Can
course,
I just ask one question? The main head of the soccer female team, her name's Megan Rempel, isn't it? Make me a
Rapinoe.
sub, bitch.
Megan Rapinoe.
Rapino,
Is that who you're
whatever her
talking
name
about?
is.
I don't know how to
Rapino,
pronounce it.
Rapinino or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could get in the kitchen and make me a sandwich, lady.
So yeah, I'm hoping that the people in chat can keep an eye on things because I'm getting a lot of crazy messages from YouTube because apparently it's not happy with me. It's not broadcasting at the right frame rate, the right resolution, and it says that the stream health is poor. So if we're seeing any kind of problems, I'm going to need chat to let me know if anything's going on because I can't see anything from here except for YouTube complaining. But anyway, first thing on the list of things to cover tonight is the Kirk versus Vaush debate. Did you guys get a chance to see that?
No. I
I
saw a
did not.
little bit on Twitter, but I didn't know. I don't even know what they were talking about.
Okay. So Jen, you saw a little bit. Did you see the beginning and ending or just some parts in between? What
I
did you
just
see?
I just saw that people were talking about it. I hadn't
Oh.
really watched it myself, just because those are usually like 2-3 hours long.
It was
but-
only an hour as far as I
Really?
mean, I didn't catch the very beginning, so I'm not entirely sure when it started. But I caught a good hour of it before Tim killed it and moved it over to a private where you had to pay to see the rest of it. So I didn't see I guess what you would call the second half of it, and it really wasn't a debate. It was put up to be a debate, and you knew that if you brought Kirk and it's Charlie Kirk, not TJ. A lot of people are saying TJ because he's been around for so long, but Charlie Kirk from the
Turning
right
Point.
and yeah, Turning Point USA, and Vaush from the left, partially progressive. I'm not even sure where he really stands. I know she was a big fan of his, but
I think Vaush claims to be a libertarian socialist. I think
Is
that's
that
how
what he
he
is?
declares his
and
politics.
she's a democratic socialist, and Claudia talks about him as well, or tweets about him. So I know there's a certain fan base there. I think she's a sock dem as well, but I thought this was going to be another kill stream, kind of yelling and screaming at each other and all that kind of stuff. Even with Tim Pool being the moderator, I thought it was going to be a nightmare. But I got there and I'm watching. I'm like, because I originally I hit it on Shu's stream because she was restreaming it, and I wanted to hear her point, but she just got to the point where she's just like, I was like, I don't want to hear you anymore. I want to hear what these two guys are talking about. So I went over to Tim's stream, and it wasn't on Timcast IRL, and it wasn't on Tim Pool. It was on Timcast because he has like 5. I forget what the other 2 streams are. So I found it on Timcast, and I watched it, and it was very, very civil, and they were agreeing on things.
That's interesting.
It was amazing. I'm like, you know, Charlie Kirk would say blah 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 blah, and Vaush would say, "Well, yeah, I can understand that." And I was like, "What do you mean you can understand it? Why aren't you throwing stuff at your microphone and canceling people? What's going on?" Because that's what he does on his streams. Is he just treats people poorly and then yells at them and then cuts their connection, rage quits them. You know, that's his typical stream. So this was all very civil because I guess they were on Tim's channel. So they kind of had to be. I don't know. Did anybody in chat catch the stream? I don't know. Yeah,
I think Vaush has been on Tim's channel before.
Has he?
Yeah, I think he has too.
And people were saying, "Don't have this idiot on. Like, get someone who actually knows what they're talking about." Like that was like half of chat. It was like, "Who's this idiot? He doesn't know what he's talking about."
Vaush also wants to legalize child porn. I know.
He does actually.
Yeah,
no, that is true.
Yeah, and I guess that was going to be covered on the part that was paid for because they didn't talk about it on the free side. I guess Tim had a list of things that they were going to talk about the free side.
I hate to break it to Vaush, but I have this opinion that people who want to legalize CP should have their balls and dick removed.
Well, that's an interesting take, but what happens if the person who is advocating for child porn is a woman?
Then she should have her clitoris removed. I don't care.
Well,
whatever.
The point I'm making here is not the punishment. Is that the assumption is it's a guy. Now, in this case, it is Vaush or Vaush or however he pronounces his name.
I don't know how to say it.
Dana Lash looks like her name is Laush. I think, isn't it her how she spells her name? She's the NRA
I think it's
person.
L-O-E. I think it's L-O-E.
Yeah, so people can spell it any way they want. They can spell it S-M-I-T-H and pronounce it Janowski if they want to. I don't care.
Well, it's like Monty Python. It's spelt Raymond Luxury Yacht, but it's pronounced Throat Wobbler Mangrove.
See, my quote was from George Carlin. He did an album back in the, I guess, late 70s called the 5 words or 7 words you can't say on TV.
Yeah, it was 7.
And on that 7, on that album, he said that's one of his jokes. He says, you know, people don't spell their names the way they say it. They can say it, spell it S-M-I-T-H, and pronounce it Janosk. It's the actual quote from the album back when vinyl existed, or at least everybody used it. In any case, so I was, to be honest with you, you're not going to hear me say this very often, but I was impressed by everybody in that. You know, there's a lot of people who have their opinions about their stand. If you want to use Shu's verbatim, she likes to say, "We stand Vaush." You know, it's a very edgy way of saying that. That's who we stand behind.
I thought they were saying stan as in like the STAN, like the hyperactive fan. It's like we stand as in. Yeah, like like the Eminem song "Stan" is about like this
you kids,
stalker fan.
You kids and your words, however they mean it, but basically, she advocates for him, and I'm generally going to advocate more for Charlie Kirk. I watch TPUSA videos. You know, Ben's on all that kind of stuff. Ben Shapiro's on the stuff and all that kind of stuff.
I think TPUSA is a terrible acronym because TP just means toilet
paper.
In my mind.
It is, but it means turning point. They don't use TPUSA very often. When you hear them talk it, they almost always say turning point. They almost always say the word. So at least you don't get that in your brain. But But yeah, I lean more that way, and I'm fine with Tim Pool. I think he has a tendency to say the same thing 30 times in one stream. You know, it gets kind of repetitive. But listening to the stream, these people were smarter than I thought they were. I don't really listen to Vaush very often, but I was intellectually interested. Monkey was saying how boring it was, and that's fine. If his intellect is so high that he thinks the three of these people are below him, or however he feels about it, that's his deal.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. But I was, who are you talking about? What did they say? Where did they go? What are you talking about? Who is that? What's that guy do? I was like trying to keep up with everything they were saying, because I was like, I don't know who he's quoting Socrates. And I'm like, what? You know, and to be honest with you, just listening to the three of them, Charlie, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't a kill stream kind of thing. It wasn't blood sports, but Charlie knew more about all the topics than the other two people did. So when a topic was brought up, when a topic was brought up, Charlie knew everything about it. He knew when it started, where it started, who started it, how it was changed, who changed it, when it was changed. He knew everything about everything they brought up. And he was easily talking rings around both of them. Not so much Pool, but definitely around Vaush. I can't count to you recount to you how many times he said, well, I'm not really an historian. I'm not really an academic. I really don't know much about that. There were a lot of times where he was like, and he didn't look it or act it, but he said it. So Charlie had to explain a lot of things. And in the case of just being a discussion, you sit back and look at these three personalities, and from my perspective, the three of them, Charlie was obviously the most intellectually knowledgeable.
Well, see, that doesn't surprise me, because the more socially unacceptable your stance is, the more you need to know about it if you're going to try and debate it. Like, if Vaush says something stupid, socially, the left is in control. So he's going to get away with stuff that someone on the far right, or as far right as Charlie Kirk is, I don't know his politics that well, but someone on the right is going to have to make a better case, because they're going against public opinion. So they're going to be under much more scrutiny than someone on the left.
He is on the right to the extent that he falls basically in line with Candace. He actually goes to a lot of shows with her as a 1-2 punch. He's the same with Ben and Knowles. He's all around that same line. He's not too far to the right where he's like, Rebecca
like
Blonde.
He's solidly, he's like solidly on the right, but not to the extreme.
Yes, but he's not an extremist. I should probably say hello to chat, because they've been so nice to us tonight, considering all my mistakes this at the beginning. But hello, Assassin of the Gray. Hello, Adam. Kiva Dam's out there. Is that the proper way to pronounce her name? Is it Kiva?
Yeah, Kiva Dam.
Kiva Dam. OG Costin is out there. You have to explain to everybody why I call him OG. Elwin, check your logic. I'm scrolling back. Jack Gunsky. Hey, Jack.
Me. Jack boy.
Did we lose?
I should say that.
I guess we lost.
Sorry, Jack.
We lost Reject, didn't we? Cynics out there.
Reject was watching the other stream. I don't know if
she still is. Why aren't you guys talking over here? She's wonderful. I love her. Anyway, so yeah, it was definitely a debate, sold as a debate, but it actually was a regular discussion. There was no yelling and screaming, no throwing of plates. Nobody wanted to get a divorce.
Sometimes those are better though, because you'll pick up more information when people are a little bit calmer.
Blood sports was popular back in the day, but they didn't do any of that, and I was really surprised, mostly with Vaush, because I know he gets upset. And he's not afraid to get upset on his own streams, but he was not. And Charlie was treating him with respect, and Tim Pool did maybe, like I said, maybe it was a 2-hour stream and I caught the last hour. I don't know. I definitely didn't catch the beginning of it, but Tim did not interject very much in the hour that I saw before he went off the live stream onto his paid stream. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a great, and if you watched the super chats going by, they were all, you guys are so great for just sitting down and having a discussion. Useless Cook is out there.
Well,
hey, Useless.
But that is true. That is it's a good thing that people on opposing sides are actually willing to sit down and talk to each other, because that's getting less and less common these days.
It's so polarized, and it didn't take me more than 5 minutes to notice the same thing. I was like, wow, these guys are just talking and making sense, and no one's going crazy, and the things they're saying make sense, and they're exploring subjects, and they're making consensus, and they're certainly agreeing to disagree on stuff, but it was intellectually stimulating and interesting. And I was like, why don't we do this on a weekly basis? Why don't we have, a left and a right and just do it every week on Tim Pool's channel? The guy's already a multimillionaire from, and I'm sure the amount of money he banked from this.
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, my God. Not only just super chats, but he went over to Timcast and people were signing up left and right, I'm sure, to catch the rest of it.
Yeah, of course.
Now, maybe they'll cancel, but he got his $5 per person to start off with. And he had like some weird bazillion thousand people watching the stream. That's all ad revenue.
Yeah.
So.
Say what you like about Tim, but he is good at making money.
Yeah. I haven't heard what's going on with the lawsuit with his company, though, because I guess you guys heard about that.
Not recently. I heard a thing about him and his brother ages ago, but I don't know.
No, he has his company, and he's got 2 people in his company with him, or 3 other people in his company with him, and 2 of them split off and are now suing him for ownership of his company, or something along that line. So that would be
Adam used to be on there. Ian used to be on there, and I think Lydia was. Yeah, Lydia, I think, is still with him.
Yeah, one of them's whoever is with him on stream is not who I'm talking about. The people I'm talking about are people who don't appear on a stream but own parts of the company.
Well, I think Adam Krigler was like a big part. Like when Timcast IRL started, the whole big thing was that this is this guy who's politically naive and doesn't know anything, and it was just to get another perspective. Like someone who doesn't live in this world, and see what their take is. And then he got more politically aware, and he became quite an ardent Trump supporter.
Were these people on his stream with him?
Yeah, Adam was his co-host.
All right. Well, this is not the same people that I'm talking about then, because the people that appear with him on stream work directly for Tim. The people that he's having a problem with are people that own part of his company and don't appear on the stream.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's got new people that he works with. He kind of has been since I'd say before the election. He had a new crew because it's been that podcast for a while. But the 2 people that he's fighting with, my understanding is they did it behind his back, like it was like a planned coup.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I figure it's probably because he went so far towards Trump. Well, it's just with him, it took them 4 years to get him to admit that he was even for Trump, because he was always kind of wishy-washy on it, looking.
Ever since his initial appearance on the scene back when he was doing the Wall Street thing, that's where he started as an on-the-ground reporter, or what was it called? Something Wall Street?
Occupy Wall Street.
Occupy Wall Street. That's where he made his name, and he was working for Vice or Vox or somebody. Vice.
Yep.
And he was left, clearly left.
And he did a lot of I'd say he started turning his mind when he started doing work overseas, because when he was seeing all the protests over there and the freakouts, and he was there when there was terrorist attacks. He was there for some of that stuff too.
Right.
So I think seeing all that stuff firsthand, and then coming back to the US and seeing that crap, but also there's also the fact that a lot of the right is paying a lot of money to these 2 people online who are speaking in favor of the right. And I'm not meaning to throw shade at Tim, but like he falls into that maybe category for me because he's wishy-washy.
Frosted's in chat. Hey, Frosted.
Hi, Frosted.
Yes, I mean, he was left and left and left and left and left. And then eventually, after he's seeing all the shit that the left was doing, he finally said, I'm going to vote for Trump. And that marked him as a bad man. And then after that, everybody was like, okay, well, we can't, stand you anymore. And then he became target number one. That's why he had that hit piece recently on, was it Vice or Vox or Guardian?
Vice.
Was it Vice? About,
I would be surprised.
And then
Cynic says Vice and Fusion are the two he worked for.
Right. And then there was that thing that Lauren Chen just did a video about where some guy Goldstein went after him. Do you see that video from Lauren?
No.
I
haven't.
You guys don't follow Lauren?
Not yet. I haven't seen it. Like I know she posted stuff, but
so yeah, I mean, but you got to imagine that, with all the people who wanted to see Nick Fuentes get on. Can you imagine if they would have had Nick Fuentes on? I mean, Charlie would never agree to it, but can you imagine the kind of viewership?
I don't know much about this Nick guy. I've heard his name a lot, but I don't really know. Other than that, he's like on the right.
He is on the right. He is. I don't know how to classify him because I don't have enough experience with him, but he is a little too far to the right. And he is dynamic in the same way. Who was that blonde guy who was on the right? He admitted that he was a gay guy, married a black guy. Then came out and said he wasn't gay. Milo Yiannopoulos. He has the same dynamic, as I understand it, the same dynamic as him. He's very engaging. He says crazy stuff. He's not, and he's young. He's like 21 or something, like 22 years old, and he's gotten this group of young people together and gotten a following by saying stuff that nobody else wants to say. And he's a little too far on the right, as I understand it.
Fair enough.
Are they coming to take you away, Terry?
Must be, yeah.
You weren't wearing a mask inside your own home, weren't you?
No, I'm not wearing a mask at the moment. No.
He's also not wearing any underwear. I mean, I can't prove that because I can't see anything, and he's not going to confirm that. But yeah, just
No, I've decided I'm going to take the health regulations so seriously. I'm going to combine them 6 feet away from a mask at all times.
6 feet away from a mask. Oh, that's brilliant. So, but yeah, to finish up on the Kirk versus Vaush, if you guys get a chance, I don't really plug stuff, but I found it interesting, and I think that people who are in chat who haven't seen it yet, you're missing out. Thanks, Check. Yeah, Milo Yiannopoulos. You're missing out if you don't catch it. I'm going to go back and watch it because I didn't get to the beginning of it. And I'm not sure how much I missed. It could have gone on an entire hour, and it could have been all Tim that entire hour because Tim can't shut up. But, well, he can't. I mean, if you watch his shows, he just goes on and on. It's crazy.
That's actually why I unsubbed from him. I used to watch a lot of his videos, and then he just kept repeating himself so often that there was no point watching a new video because he said the same stuff he said in the last 3.
Yeah, well, you watch 10 minutes and end it, or watch 5 minutes and go on to something else. Just catch a little bit of it and keep going. I unsubscribed from. I went through and unsubscribed through a bunch of people that I used to watch, because I just had so many people coming up in my timeline that I couldn't keep it straight. That's why I only have a few people on my Twitter. I just get confused because I'm old. You can disagree with me if you want.
No, I'm actually going through my YouTube subscriptions and like seeing if I should still be subscribed to these people. And so yeah, I'm getting rid of a whole bunch of stuff too.
Yeah. So yeah, if you got there, if you get a chance, go to Timcast's the Timcast channel and check out Kirk versus Vaush. I found it interesting. I think you guys might want to as well. But let's go ahead and move on. I watch, for as much as I hate the guy, I watch Philly D. I don't subscribe to him, but when he comes up in my time, I'll watch and leave a comment that he won't like in his comment section because I don't agree with anything he says. I used to really advocate for him, but I can't stand him anymore. He's just gone too far to the left. He used to be, I state the left, I state the right, then I state my opinion, and that's how it is. But now he just states the left, and that's it. He doesn't even make an attempt. Everything Trump does is bad. Everything Biden does is either not talked about or he only finds the good. He doesn't say.
Well, I subscribed to Phil way back when he was defending roaming millennial, the whole Lacey Green thing.
Oh yeah, I remember
that. That's like the first I'd ever heard of him, and he was like defending roaming millennial. I was like, well, he seems like an even-handed kind of guy, so I'll follow him. And that went away. He stopped being neutral.
Yeah, I think what caused me to have concerns was the way he handled the Sandman situation.
Yeah, I was going to say
that's when I left. Yeah, that's when I unfollowed him.
Covington was the breaking point for a lot of people.
Yeah, because he just jumped on the bandwagon like everyone else did. Something came out and he had to put something out right away, and then he was proved to be a total imbecile for doing that and never apologized. Yeah, he never took it back. He just dropped it, never spoke of it again. And then, not 2 weeks later, he deleted his old catalog.
Oh, dearie me.
Yeah, because he used to have like 6 or 7 years of stuff on. And he said, I'm going to leave it up because I want everyone to know how I've grown. And then he went and deleted it all.
But no, I don't like people who delete all their old shames.
They hide
I think you should leave them up.
Exactly. And I that's one of the reasons why I kept following. I was like, okay, you used to just do, titty stuff and, and porn stars and shit like that. And, okay, you have grown. You're a mature man. You're married. You got a couple of kids. You grew up. I believe in that. And then he deleted them all. I was like, you dick. Can't believe you did that. And, of course, I left messages and stuff like that, and he never commented on it.
Of course.
Because it's a conversation. Like he says, it's a conversation. Yet I converse all the time, and he does not answer me.
He's not going to.
Not such a conversation, if you ask me.
It's a monologue.
Yeah. And then he has porn stars on his DeFranco Says or DeFranco Does, or It's a Conversation Plus or whatever, that other channel he has. Yeah, Mia Khalifa
even know he had another channel.
Yeah, he has like 3 other channels, and one of them is he just sits down with YouTube people, and one of the people he had on his thing was Mia Khalifa. I was like,
oh, okay.
All right, dude, you've grown up, you're a man, but go ahead and put a porn star on to get clicks. Brilliant.
Well, I think maybe Mia Khalifa makes sense because she's pretending that she hates her porn career and that she doesn't want to be known for that anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, she's lying, but that is what she's claiming.
Yeah. Well, what was she also saying, that she didn't get much money from it either?
Yeah, like $12,000 or something.
I find that hard to believe.
Which is clearly you must have spent a lot more money, darling. Sorry, but you were popular. She was super popular.
I'm sure she's got a Mercedes and diamonds and all that kind
I would
of stuff.
say so, yes.
Hello, Michael Hatfield. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Michael.
But I do want to move on to, not to get on to DeFranco and his idiocy, but I was watching his show tonight, and he was talking about a passenger on Frontier Airlines who was drunk, a young man, and I'm not going to mention his name, but the flight crew, one of the people on the flight, he got out of hand, and one of the passengers on the flight tackled him to the ground. I'm trying not to laugh. I'm trying to say this.
Yeah.
And then the flight crew piled on him, and when they got him subdued, they put him back in his chair and they duct taped him to his seat. And he went.
That doesn't seem like a good thing.
And they went through the entire flight with him, and there were people taking pictures, and they didn't cover his mouth enough for him to shut him up. He was still complaining and that kind of stuff, and everybody in the cabin was just laughing at him because he was saying stuff like, "My parents can buy this airline" and stuff like that. He was drunk. Well, the controversy is Frontier Airlines suspended all the flight crew, even everybody, for doing that. And there was a big social media upheaval because everyone felt that the flight crew did the right thing, because he could have gotten violent and went after somebody and beat them up. He was drunk. He was out of control. And there was no way to keep him in his seat just by asking him nicely. He was well beyond that point. So the option was, what were they going to do to keep him in his seat? Well, there's a reason why duct tape is on the airplane. It's not just to fix a hole. It's in case something like this happens. They duct tape. I mean, it's not the first time it's been done. Other airlines, Spirit did it, and Southwest did it. So this is not the first time it's happened. And so I mean, there was a big social media outrage that they had done that, and after the outrage, Frontier turned around and said, "No, we have them. We're going to put them on paid administrative leave until this is over." So they turned it around. But I was surprised you guys didn't hear about this.
I think maybe it's an optics thing. Maybe they have to be seen doing something just to quell the outrage, and they're going to probably suspended with pay kind of thing.
Well, they put them on vacation. They gave them vacation. They put them up in hotels and all that kind of stuff, and they treated them nice. After the social media outrage came out, then they turned around. But originally they were just like, "No, we're suspending them without paying. We're disciplining them." And now they're like, "Oh, no, we're not going to discipline them. They did the right thing."
I mean, because I get it. You needed to restrain the guy. You use what's available, I guess.
I can't imagine having a roll of duct tape on a plane. I mean, what do you get if the plane blows up? I don't think duct tape's going to cover it.
No.
So why do you have duct tape on the plane?
Duct tape fixes everything. It's either duct tape or WD-40. Between the two of them, you can fix everything.
Everything. Oh, the plane's coming off? Duct tape. Oh, that weird smoking smell? Oh, just a little WD-40. That'll take care of it.
Yeah. So if it moves and it's not supposed to, you use duct tape. If it doesn't move and it is supposed to, you use WD-40. It
reminds me of Derek from Vice Grip Garage. Do you guys ever hear of that YouTube channel?
No.
He's a brilliant mechanic, right? Married, couple of kids, lives on a farm. Sound familiar? Okay. Well, I'm not married, but no kids. But the point is, he's brilliant like me. No, he's a brilliant mechanic, but he plays the role of a backtown hick. So it talks like this, and it's a little bit of an intentional kind of, me and the wife are going to go to town in our beater car, that kind of thing. But when he does a build, he's like, we want to look for is the size of the tappet and the thread on this bolt is going to be this much, and you want an amount for 32 millimeters. You want this kind of wrench and he knows everything like a mechanic. I mean, he is a mechanic.
Cool.
He built an engine from scratch, but with parts that he bought, and put it into a race car with 800 horsepower. He obviously knows what he's talking about. But what he does is he goes out and he buys these junk cars, and he fixes them up. And what he'll do is, and this is the reason why this pertains, he'll buy the junk car and he'll look at the corner at the bottom where the wheel well is, and he'll see some rust, and he calls that. Well, first of all, he'll just rub his hands and he says, "I'll just pretend I didn't see that." He'll move on to something else, but he'll call that weight reduction. It's not rust; it's weight reduction. And if he has to bang on something with a hammer, he says, "I have to go get my Tanya Harding out and bang on that." He has these little nicknames for everything he does. And, it's not spark plugs, they're sparkulators, the spark plugs go into wires, and they go into a distributor cap. And he calls that his, what's the word that he uses for it? Lightning whirler is the name he uses for it. So here's this guy who knows everything about everything to do with cars, but he plays dumb for the show, and it's very entertaining. If you don't, here I am shouting out another YouTube channel, but it just reminded me that he's the kind of guy who would say, "Oh, this is not working. I'll fix this." You think he's gonna break out some Bondo and no, just put a piece of tape around it and say, "There we go," and he'll tap it like it's all fixed, like a Band-Aid. Same thing with duct tape and WD-40, and he's certainly done that kind of stuff too. He'll be driving back with a beater that's got some trim piece on the outside of the window that's banging because of the wind, and he'll put duct tape on it. I was like, "There we go, that's all fixed."
It's funny with the Tonya Harding thing. I actually found out about that through South Park.
Really? They had a thing on it. I know they did.
Yeah. But like Stan was saying to Jesus, because he wanted to hype him up for his fight against Satan, think about Nancy Kerrigan. Nancy Kerrigan didn't give up. Nancy Kerrigan, stuck it out to him. And then I was like, dude, she got second. And it's like, and I had no idea who Nancy Kerrigan was. So I looked it up. It's like, but then as soon as I saw the name Tonya Harding, I was like, oh, I remember hearing something about that years and years and years ago.
Yeah, I mean, when I was watching the Olympics, I had a crush on Nancy Kerrigan. She's cute, brown-haired, very pretty girl.
Well, she was.
I don't know what she looks like now, but anyway, yeah, I remember. I never watch very. English is so hard. I never watched much of Star.
You'll get there.
But I guess we'll move on to vaccine mandates because I can't talk about this at all. But I just thought it was funny that they actually duct taped a human, and it was on Twitter. I got a big kick out of that. But the reason I wanted to talk so much about vaccine mandates is because of our international cast. We have 3 people from 3 different countries, and the vaccine is impacting us in 3 separate different ways.
Yeah, a little bit.
Canada is now opening up. The USA is looking at going with mass mandates, and Australia has turned into Nazi Germany, as far as I understand it.
Pretty much. Like, they even got the army enforcing the lockdown.
Yeah, that's scary.
Dude,
some people need to be voted out of your country.
Yeah, all of them.
I'm really sad to hear that. I really am sad to hear that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, as I understand it, they're literally coming house to house to see if people are wearing their masks in their house. Is that true?
I haven't had any knocks on my door, so hopefully that's not real. But because I don't need to wear a mask at home. Mm-hmm. It's apparently the common area, because I have my apartment, then there's like the staircase down to the door. If you're in that common area, you are technically supposed to wear a mask, which I don't, because fuck it.
My hero.
I'm going to be in the common area for at most 15 seconds. I'll be fine. Mm-hmm. I've got to go down some stairs and out the door. I'll be fine. But to go into like a post office or a chemist or like a supermarket, you do need to wear a mask. They will
beat
probably
the shit out
ask
of you.
To leave. They'll probably ask you to leave if you don't have one on.
That's the way it was here at one point. But from what I understand from watching Viva Fry, because I am addicted to YouTube tonight, Jen, is that Canada is opening up. New Brunswick is fully open, as I understand it, and that seems to be what's as I understand it. Somebody sued. Did you hear anything about this, Jen?
I'm not sure.
From what I understand, somebody in Quebec sued the government, because you can do that in Canada, and you can't do that in the United States, but you can do that in Canada. And
I'm not surprised. I'm just wondering who it was.
It forced the Department of, well, I guess it's your version of the Department of Health and Human Services in the United States. I don't know what you call that in Canada. Viva Fry went through it so quick, I wasn't able to really catch the person's name that he was talking about. I wouldn't say it anyway, but they said, well, we don't have any proof that the virus still qualifies anymore, so we're just gonna say that the suit's dismissed, and we're going to get rid of all of these mask mandates and everything like that. And as I understand it, New Brunswick is 100% no masks. So
I wouldn't be surprised if that was a thing, because there was a time where people who can't wear masks were actually being harassed. It was one of those. you know, it was one of those things where they might as well have just worn the Star of David on their shoulder, because people were like being really ridiculous about it, you know. And it was just like, you shouldn't have to stop and explain to every asshole on the street that you have medical conditions that you can't wear a mask. And as a regular person who struggled with it, I was like, I can understand that. If I had a medical issue, I could see that, because as a regular person, I'm sure you can all agree, they suck to breathe in. They're very fucking shit to breathe in.
Yeah, and they don't work.
They don't.
Like, the thing that gets me, on the box that the masks come in, it says, this does not protect against COVID. Like, in big letters. Well, it's not hidden.
We don't really, the way I look at it, the way I guess I have to look at it to prevent us from being removed from YouTube, is we don't know, there's no definitive proof that the mask will stop COVID, but if it even stops a little bit, it's worth wearing. Now that's what I have to stay, or else Susan Wiki is gonna come to my house and beat me over the head with a silver hammer.
That's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Yeah, and I try not to use the word COVID as much when I'm talking on YouTube or on Twitter or something like that, because I know they're looking for that word to try to do what Jeremy says and call it the coof as much as I can. But
I just like calling that because I think it's funny. Like coof coof.
Coof coof. And it is funny, you're right. But I thought for sure that I was going to get some kind of timeout on Twitter, because that's one of the things you guys should be following me. Is one of the things I put out on Twitter is that the size, and this is a fact, and this will probably get us banned, but the size of the COVID molecule that Jen has. You okay?
Yep. Wrong tube.
Jeez. You okay?
Sorry.
All right. The size of the COVID molecule is 1 nanometer. And I talked about this back and forth a little bit with Jack. Even with moisture necessary to expel it from your body, it's still around 1 nanometer. And a smoke particle is roughly around 2.5 nanometers. And if you look at the actual N95 mask, the most restrictive mask, it says that it can go down to 3 nanometers. Now, granted, if a particle of air is coming in and it happens to hit a fiber, it's going to be stopped. But it's not going to stop all of it. And the point I made was take a vape, a colored vape, inhale, put your N95 mask on, and exhale. And tell me you don't see any color coming out.
You can do it even easier than that. Spray perfume, put a mask on. Can you still smell it?
How big is a perfume molecule? I don't
know, but if you can smell perfume, the mask doesn't work.
Well, it should be about the size of water droplets, right? So, yeah, perfume would be accurate. Sorry, I don't know why. Still,
Jen,
still dying.
Take a drink of water.
Do I have water?
You can take a drink of water. You're not on camera. You can take a drink of water. No one's gonna know.
It's been smoky out here for like the last week, 2 weeks. So,
well, I don't know how big maybe if a perfume molecule is 5 or 6 nanometers, and you can still smell it, that's scary, because if you can't stop 5, then it's certainly not going to stop 1. But
I mean, I kind of figured right away that there was a problem when they went from the N95 mask being a thing that you should be using to, we'll just use the cloth mask. Making the assertion that they were the same thing. And then also, I don't know the difference in the size of allergies, but I can tell you that allergies come in very different sizes, and I've never not had them this year, regardless of masks. And it's a thing for stores. Even if you have a clean store, you're still walking in a dirty store, because they collect dust like nothing else. And I can tell you, the mask didn't help.
No, but I remember a time when they were telling people, please don't wear masks. Medical professionals need them, and you're taking up all the supply.
Right. Fauci said that. He said, you don't really need masks. Don't worry about masks. You don't need masks, blah, 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 blah. And so he lied and told us that we don't need him when we did. And that's the whole thing behind Fauci lies. I've heard a lot of people, and I remember him doing it. So I'm right there. But if an N95 mask is 3 nanometers, I don't know how big a KN95 mask is, because that's the Korean, as I understand, Susan, as I understand, KN95 is the Korean N95 mask. And then you have the surgical mask, which is the blue one that looks like, I don't even know how to
kind of looks like panties.
Well, I was gonna say like window blinds, like blue window blinds.
Sure, that works.
Right?
That works. That works.
What's on your mind?
Well, I always kind of thought they looked like panties. Like the masks look like panties. They do. They look like little thongs, to be honest.
Is there anything you want to tell us, Jen?
I've never worn them because I was a big girl for a really long time, and there's just some things that big girls shouldn't wear, and that's my opinion. But I've seen stuff, and I've been like, well, you're not supposed to question what other women wear, but we do.
More than guys, obviously.
But they honestly look like maxi pads. Like,
okay. Yikes.
Sorry,
and
but
our entire male audience is now left.
Yeah,
all the guys
are cringing because they realize that they've been wearing the equivalent to a maxi pad to their face for the last year.
I've heard people call them diapers too. People. How many times have you heard people call face diapers?
Yeah, I've heard that a lot.
Yeah,
and then
pads, thin ones.
Yeah, and then there's with wings, and then there's the cloth ones. Can you imagine how little a cloth mask is stopping if an N95 is going to struggle? Even if they say it stops what they say it stops. They say an N95 stops 95%. All right. Well, if I'm sitting in a room with you and I'm just sitting there breathing in and out, you're getting I got to assume, please don't kill me, Susan, but I got to imagine that you're breathing in and out thousands of molecules every breath. So if 5% is getting through, that's enough to infect the entire house with your 5%. Now imagine you're wearing a cloth mask. How much are you really stopping? Right?
Well, I mean, it was pretty easy to figure that one out. Like, I mean, wearing the cloth mask, you can put your hand in front of your face and pull it away to see that you can still feel your breath.
Yeah.
And that it's moist.
Yeah. Well, you put your glasses
not just that you can feel the breath; it's moist.
Yeah, put your glasses in front of your mouth with a cloth mask on and breathe out. Your glasses, fog up.
Yeah.
So. And I'm just asking questions. I'm not trying to advocate for any medical misinformation here, Susan.
It was also the fact that they were like, well, if you don't wear the mask, you could just stand 6 feet away from people. And for some reason, that factor just is ignored. I was completely fine with people's steps being 6 feet away, but I noticed right away that that's impossible. People don't know what 6 feet is, for one. And for two, people have a very lack of self-awareness, especially anywhere crowded. You always have people like trying to get by, regardless of whether or not because even when you were wearing the mask, my understanding out here was that you were still supposed to keep distance from people. Like, we all had masks on and we were all still like in line 6 feet away from each other. So
okay, so the thing about people not knowing how big 6 feet is, I think guys have some blame because we've been lying about how much 6 inches is, and people are just extrapolating from that.
Well, over in the UK, it's 5 meters. Does 5 meters equal 6 feet?
No, 6 feet is about 2 meters.
Right. So why the difference in distance?
I don't know, because England's insane.
That's a problem. Is a lot of people don't know, and that's the problem. It's a lot of I don't knows in this whole pandemic. There's so many I don't knows that it doesn't make sense anymore. Everything, just about everything that comes up, somebody somewhere is saying, "Well, I don't know." Well, as long as you don't know, then I can't take your word for anything. And now there's this big push in the United States that we're going to go back to masks and nobody that I'm watching on Twitter is gonna capitulate to that. I had to use my $10 word there.
Hmm.
I was looking at going to get my shots, and then I saw a YouTube video of somebody in Congress saying that you're going to get this. You're going to get a vaccine, or you're not going to be able to do this, and you're not going to do this. You're not going to be able to do this, and we're not going to let you do this if you don't get a vaccine. End of story. It wasn't a question mark. He wasn't saying we think, we want, we all that. He was like, no, this is the way it's going to be, and you're just going to have to kowtow. And with somebody in the political arena doing this, and I was like, well, fuck, I'm not going to get my vaccine now. Not that I've heard that. The harder you push me, the less likely I am to bend the knee to you.
Well, my mom has said that she will have to be dragged kicking and screaming to get a vaccine. She is that opposed to it because they're pushing it so hard. She doesn't trust them.
Right, right. And it's not.
Well,
trust.
It's also the fact that now that people have got it, they're lowering the bar. Most of the people who got the shots that I know of who got the shots were getting the shots because they need work. They need to get out and they need to get jobs. So we all got the shots, and now they're like, oh, well, we're going to lower the bar, so you need to do some more hoop jumping. That's where we're going, okay, we already did everything that you wanted, and now you're changing the rules. That tells me that you were lying.
Yeah, they keep changing the rules. What was that? What was that woman from the CDC who said the Delta variant's out, so if you wear your masks for 2 weeks, that should take care of it. We're back to 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks to stop the spread.
The curve, yeah.
That's been going on for like the last 3 months because they've been talking about the Delta for the last 3 months.
Yeah. And now the Lambda. It's like, how many letters are we going to go through?
They did this last year. They did the exact same thing last year.
No, I can actually answer that. There's 24 letters in the Greek alphabet, so that's how many variants there'll be.
You would know, man. You would know. Yeah. I made plans. I made plans to get vaccinated, and then when I saw that on YouTube or on Twitter, I was like, no, not anymore. That's it. I'm not going. I don't care, because I'm not going to be pushed. If you ask me nicely, I will make arrangements in my own time, and I will, go ahead and get it. But if you're going to hold a gun to my head, go ahead and shoot. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I'm not the only one. I follow, my other girlfriend, Sydney Watson, on Twitter, and she's like, "There's no way. No way I'm doing this."
It makes me feel like we've all been like programmed for the last 10 years. That's what all the zombie movies were for. They were like, if we convince everyone that if they don't get a shot, they're going to become a zombie. I'm like, at this point, I'd rather be a zombie.
But Sydney Watson did a really good video on was it the mental health thing where people are committing suicide because of the lockdowns, and the whole, if it saves one life, it was worth it. Is like, is it if it cost 5 to suicide?
Yeah. There's another YouTube channel I can wholeheartedly advocate, Sydney Watson. I've never watched a video where it wasn't funny and engaging, entertaining, truthful, factual. And she's not hard on the eyes, So
yeah, I was gonna say, and she's pretty good looking.
She's gorgeous. Yeah. I have this thing for tall brunettes. She's
she's a very good looking woman. She's
kind of an ET neck, but that's okay. Plenty of room to snuggle up on. So she's got a long neck. I don't know if you noticed. You didn't notice? No, you weren't looking at her neck, were you?
What's this?
But yeah,
sorry, I got distracted by chat. What did you say?
No, I agree with you. She's I like her videos. She does. I mean, she started, her whole beginning was an MRA. That's where she came from.
Yes, that's right.
So, and she's in your neck of the woods, or at least she used to be. She grew up there. So, she literally grew up in Sydney, and that's not too far away. It's at least on the same coast. So that's got to be a tough thing.
Melbourne is like very, very close to Sydney. It's like an hour and a half by plane.
Yeah, that's got to be a tough thing to be named Sydney, living in Sydney.
Yeah.
You know what would be worse? I think it would be worse to be called Sheila in Australia.
That might be tough. But isn't that kind of a colloquial form of endearment to women, or is that derogative towards women?
I think it's both.
Terry.
It probably started off. Terry.
Is Sheila a derogative term?
No, I don't. No. I don't think anyone actually uses it. To be honest, I've only heard it
Crocodile
in
Dundee?
reference to people saying. Well, people say all Australians say it, but I've never actually heard any Australians say it.
I don't think. I mean, unless you're in certain areas of Australia, I don't think those terms are common. There's a lot of misinformation and I'm not even sure if it's misinformation, but a lot of people don't get an idea of what Australia is like. Australia is not like what they portray in movies. It is not.
No, not at all.
Not like that. People in Australia do not drink Fosters. They don't. No. You know, they don't all talk like, you know, Crocodile Dundee. They're just not.
I just like the joke though.
All wear alligator boots. There's just so many stereotypes. You take somebody from Philadelphia and drop them in Sydney somewhere in the city, you know, near what was that auditorium you guys have that looks like the
Opera House.
The Opera House. Yeah, if you drop them somewhere around there, they're going to think they're still in Philly. Maybe it's a little nicer. Maybe it's a little nicer because Philly's pretty ratty, but you know, a nice city. You know, I think we have.
The only thing I know about Philadelphia is in the west part of it. Will Smith was born and raised on the playground. Is where he spent most of his days.
I also remember photographs of bears in the streets, and I don't.
Oh, koala bears?
No, I was thinking back in Philadelphia.
What?
I'm not sure if I'm thinking Philadelphia or one of the other cities that are like run down.
Well, certain parts of Philadelphia are run down. I grew up in Philadelphia, or just outside, actually. I spent most of my life on Street Road in Philadelphia. So if anybody knows where Philly, you know, the way around Philly, they know where I'm talking about. Oh, hello, Functional. And Volrusk. Yeah, there are certainly places in Philadelphia that are run down. There are certainly places that are pretty nice. I guess it's like everywhere, like LA and Beverly Hills, and you know, there are places that are ratty and places that are nice. And I'm sure that holds true for.
I wasn't judging. It's just sometimes you get a lot of pictures of like the U.S.'s worst cities kind of stuff, and I can't remember if it was in Philadelphia or not, but
well, everything.
Yeah, it was one of the
worn torn now with COVID. But
I mean, we're not too far off either, though. I mean, there's a lot of buildings where I am where you can see that they've kind of let things run down instead of fixing it.
Yeah.
It's just it's all about who's running the city and who's fixing shit, or who's willing to put up
or who's not fixing shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My city's really clean though. Like it's one of those things where we take pride in keeping it clean. So even if it is run down and old, it's still clean.
Just screwed up my screen. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so I mean, you know, I'm not sure what to do now when it comes to vaccines because I am that person that if you push me, I won't do it. But if you ask me nicely, I will. And so I think I should, but
it's why they're going with that method. You know, it's like everybody that I've talked to, the people who actually helped convince me that maybe getting the vax was a good idea, they went with the medical route. You know, the proper route. You know, it's going to do this. This is what's in it. Explaining what it was about, what it was going to do, what things I should look for, things I should mention to the doctor, just so that, you know, anything that I might have been worried about. That's what convinced me to do it, because it was logical and it was factual. It wasn't being lied to me. It wasn't being forced down on me. And they didn't make it seem like I had to go do it. They were just like, these are the reasons why you should probably go do it.
Yeah. That's the proper way. Yeah, reasonable. Yeah. Being reasonable. Absolutely.
I think that's the problem, is that you got all these high-end elite people who seem to think that the average Joe is retarded. And don't get me wrong, the average Joe is probably not an elite, but we're not retarded.
Even the
just
elites,
a simple conversation.
Plenty of retarded elites. So
There really are. And that's the problem. I think that's the problem.
Those are the ones that are opening their mouths and trying to force us. What kills me is that with the Delta virus, that it works differently when it comes to vaccinations. It does the same thing that the regular virus does. The vaccine handles it the same way. It prevents it from doing too much damage to you, but it doesn't stop you from transmitting it. And because people who get the Delta virus generally aren't masked, because most of the country was not masked, they're the ones who've been spreading the Delta virus. So the people who are getting the vaccination were doing all the damage and blaming the unvaccinated for it.
Yeah.
But I have theories on that too. So a lot of the things that I was noticing from the people that were really pushing it, and this is the thing, I appreciate the people who are logical about it, but the people who were mass pushing it, I noticed were some of the most filthy people on the planet. Like in terms of like general habits of people, I would say some people improved. I would say the majority of people haven't. Like people are a little bit better about cleaning their hands, but then you've got people who although they know that if you use too much of that hand sanitizer, it's actually bad for your skin and it's actually really bad for protecting you from that kind of shit. And you'll see people doing that. And then they'll touch everything on themselves, everything around them, everything, you know, that stuff hasn't changed. So the people pushing it are the most filthy people in the world. Yeah, I'm not surprised they're spreading the Delta. They're the same people who wear the same mask all day. Like I talk to people in the cash, you know, at the cash register, because I used to work at places like that, and I was like, how many masks do you guys bring? Like, I mean, if I were to get a job at a place like this, what are you guys doing? You know, and they're wearing the same mask all day. I'm like, you should be getting like 2 or 3 masks. Like for every break, you should be changing your mask, because you've been breathing shit into your mask, and assuming you brush your teeth and your tongue, you know. So yeah, I'm not at all surprised. I'm not even a clinical person. I'm just saying, as somebody who used to handle food, people are out to lunch if they think that the people pushing it are moral about it. At best, the doctors are maybe a little bit more accurate, because they are telling you some stuff. I'm always just questioning it now, though, because I came from the era where I remember doctors getting money to prescribe drugs to kids for mental health. You know, so I've always had a little bit of a thing of looking at the doctors and being like, so how much money are you getting for this at my expense? Because I've never forgiven them for that. And I see this as the exact same thing. They're just giving out shit to people who don't know what they're taking. They're not informing people, and they're just like, well, if you don't take it, you're an anti-vaxxer. You're an anti-science person. And anybody asking question, well, that you're the demon. But as a kid who knows kids who are completely scarred from that shit, who are physically scarred, mentally scarred, yeah, I have a reason to distrust the medical. But I don't distrust doctors. I trust my doctor, because they talk to me like a fucking human.
Here's an example of the elite, the retarded elite people. From the Daily Wire, Jennifer Aniston. I'm sorry you have to share a name with her. Rips anti-vaxxers, says they have a moral duty to identify themselves. So you were talking about a Star of David, and I mentioned earlier that Sydney Watson had mentioned a Star of David, and another person, I think it's CCP, is Asho, is a person I follow on Twitter.
I like
he
his
said
name.
said we should all put a star on our forehead. Everyone's following the same Holocaustian idea here, is that these people are doing the same thing that the Germans did to the Jews. And
my joke on Twitter was that I said it was such a good idea, I'd give it a gold star.
Yeah, I saw that.
Well, it's down to the propaganda. Like I don't know how it is in Australia. I don't know how it is in the US. But where I am, there is no news outside of the Rebel that doesn't get money from the government. And they get a lot of money, not just a little bit of money. They get several billions of dollars. So you want to tell me that at any time that something about my prime minister that comes up, they don't say shit or they give them excuses for it. It's the same stuff I saw from the U.S. when in regards to Trump. They are slowly brainwashing people up here. Like my mom is a pretty average Canadian. Like I would say she doesn't do a lot of stuff in terms of the news. She doesn't really delve into anything. She's a pretty average person. And even she's just like, I've done everything they've told me to do, and I don't know what they're doing. I don't understand why they keep doing it. They're scaring regular people, and they're doing it with propaganda, and they're convincing people to attack each other. And there's no faith in the political system up here. I don't know what they're doing, other than scaring a shit ton of really normal people into thinking there's an apocalypse going on.
Well, at least you guys, as I understand it, are trending in the right direction. You guys are trending.
Yeah, I'd say so. Hopefully.
I think we're trending towards more lockdowns and masks, and Terry's already.
We also have elections going on up here, though, because Trudeau was a minority government, so.
No, he's not a minority. That's face paint.
All right. Well, we're a little bit over, but it was a good conversation, so I wanted to keep going.
Sorry for my rant.
No. Please rant. I think we've had enough of the coup for the night, though.
Mr. Adams offering me a tinfoil hat. Can I get pom poms on that?
It was a fake mustache. I'm not really catching up on chat as much. Just saying hi to people who show up. Pete says, I like Sydney Watson. You can't have her. She's mine. Who else?
Yeah, the election hasn't been called yet, but they're going to. They're going to.
I actually made a similar point on Twitter where someone was saying, when are the restrictions going to lift? And go, right before the election. Whenever the next election is, that's when they're going to ease up and hope you forget everything that led up to that point. And it sounds like you've got an election and they're easing up in Canada. So
I think Trudeau's done.
Yeah.
He's had enough.
I mean, I'm not sure when he's going to run, but I know that that's what they're gearing up for. Like everything that they're doing right now is trying to gear up, and they're trying to get us to fight amongst each other. And it's like, I think we all kind of hate you right now, except for your following, which is still depressingly large.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go ahead and show my continued ignorance. Trudeau's the man for the most part in Canada. Biden's the mummified corpse in charge of the United States. Who's the man in Australia?
The Prime Minister is named Scott Morrison.
He's scary. He is scary.
Yeah, he's just a politician. They're all
I know.
as bad as each other.
Is he the Nazi in charge, or is he the moderate, or what's his?
I think it's the individual states that are doing the lockdowns.
Okay.
So in my state, I think her name's Gladys Berejiklian. Oh, I'm definitely pronouncing that wrong. But her name is spelled in something like that.
Gotcha.
And down in Victoria, it's Daniel Andrews, and he's the one who's done like 5 lockdowns, and he just loves them. He's very lockdown happy. Australia, New South Wales, where I am, was pretty okay until very recently, when Gladys was just like, no, we need to lock everything down because there were like maybe 100 cases in a city of millions of people.
That's what kills me about Australia. You guys really aren't getting hit like we did, but you're taking drastic measures. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, what the problem is they committed to zero COVID as like their goal, and so they need to be brutal to try and get as close to that as possible. If they'd been realistic and said, we want to do everything we can to minimize it.
Yeah, mitigate.
Sure.
Yeah.
But zero that's impossible. And in their in their drunken craze for more authority, it's like, no. We promised zero. We will get zero, even if it means turning the army on our citizens.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy town.
It is.
We're gonna have to keep in close touch on Twitter because I'm worried about you down there.
Yeah, especially with the shit going on with China and Japan.
Yeah, South China Sea stuff. We didn't even get on that. I could probably do an entire hour on South China Sea.
Oh, yeah, because that's going to drag a lot of people into it, and that's going to be interesting because I don't know with my prime minister. Like, as a Canadian, I'm on your side because that's what our ally means.
Yeah.
But my prime minister is quite happy to suck ass with Mr. Pooh. So
yeah, I'm a little scared that Biden doesn't have the balls to defend Australia because that's what it's going to come down to.
Mm-hmm.
If China decides to do something, the only people that are standing in his way is the States. That's it. The UK just doesn't have the military might to stand up to China.
Well, that and Russia's kind of poking their heads in too, and I wouldn't be surprised.
They're teaming up.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Putin didn't have this really nice conversation with Biden. It didn't just be like, okay, I know exactly where they are right now, and this is a good time.
Yeah, this guy's got the mental capacity of a rock. Therefore, I can do whatever I want.
You give him ice cream and he's fine.
No, Biden was very smart. He told Putin, these are the areas we really don't want you to attack. Yeah. It's like, okay, see, as long as Putin is very considerate of Biden's wishes, there's nothing to worry about.
It didn't work so well for history because I remember the same thing happening with Germany. Americans said, as long as you don't do that. Good.
I'm thinking if Biden does what he's supposed to do according to the allies, Canada will side with you guys. But if he doesn't do anything, there's no help coming from China, from Canada. And that really pisses me off because as far as I'm concerned, we fought in the same world wars.
Yeah.
There's a reason we're an ally. And I don't want to side with China ever. Until they get rid of the CCP, maybe.
A lot of the lead is going to have to come from the UK regardless because Australia and Canada are still kind of colonies. So they're still going to look to the UK to know what to do. The great thing about that is that the UK and the USA are pretty tight bedfellows. If we go, UK usually goes with us.
I don't have as much of a problem because as far as I can see with the UK, like they're a little bit wishy-washy, but they are firm on their allies. They are not the type. I don't think they're the type to throw their allies under the bus.
No.
Historically speaking, no. I hope that does influence us. Like, I mean, in terms of the government, I just don't know. Like, I think the people would side with Australia. So that does influence the politics a little bit. I just really can't stay for my prime minister.
I'm more concerned about Australia than Canada anyway, because
I would be.
Australia's nearby. Yeah.
I just had a good idea. I think I should get a metal plate put in the back of my head so that when they try and shoot me as part of the regime takeover, I probably won't die.
Yeah, so I'm a little concerned for Australia because they're not close to us. You guys are our top hat. You're connected. You're Americans because you're in North America. So I'm not too worried about Canada being in trouble, but I'm definitely concerned about Australia. I have a lot of people I know down there. I mean, people in Pete's Australian. There's a lot of people that I talk to that are from there. People I like and people I don't like. But
I feel that way about them, but I also feel that way about Japan. Like I have an undying love for Japan, and I have since I was 12. So
it's funny that something when it comes to the minions, to get completely off subject here, we don't have anybody that I know of that's from Japan. I don't know where.
I'm not from Japan, unfortunately.
Yeah, we have people
I just want to go.
We have people who are close that are Asians that are. I don't know I don't keep track of that day to day of who's a minion and who's not a minion, but I think
Cryptic is Vietnamese, but he has lived in Japan because he was Cryptic.
Oh, Cryptic, yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because he did it for his military. Like I think he was stationed there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Or something like that, but he's lived there. He talks about it a little bit, but he said not to get my hopes up because it's not as glorious as I think. And I'm like, I've done research. I know it's not. There's no place on this world where people are perfect.
All right.
Funny thing,
isn't Check Your Logic
Cryptic's
Asian?
name used to be spelt wrong.
What was that, Terry?
Cryptic's name used to be spelt wrong. It was me actually correcting someone because they called him Cryptic, and I said, actually, no, it's Critpic, because that's how he had it spelt at the time. And then he's like, oh shit, I didn't even notice that. And then he changed it to Cryptic.
Isn't Check Your Logic Asian?
Yeah, he's Asian. I don't know where he's from though.
He's isn't he a minion or a?
I don't know if he's a minion, but
we love him. We consider him a minion. Whatever.
Yeah, he can be an honorary one. I don't know if he's an official one.
Yeah, an honorary minion. But I mean, we don't really have many Asians in our group. That's the only thing we have. People of all colors and backgrounds, and people on the left, people on the right, and all that kind of stuff. But the only thing we're really missing is, maybe I'd give Lauren a call and tell her, we want you to be a minion. See if she'll join. Bring her 1 million followers with her.
I know, right?
Yeah, I don't know, Pete. I thought Check Your Logic was Asian. I don't know.
He's Asian. But... I'm just not sure where he's from.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jack. I'm not meaning to discuss you like that. I've seen him on video before.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just don't.
Well,
I wouldn't make that assertion just because I have never asked where your ancestry is from, because I think he's American as far as I'm aware, but his ancestry.
I remember his face from when that used to be his profile picture. So he has an appearance that would suggest it, but I don't know.
But I think he's run away. Is Monkey streaming? Nope.
Logic's a good guy. You guys have anything else in the ticket you want to bandy about? Because we're a half an hour over. I don't mind going over because we're having such a great conversation, but
I don't know that it's. I had two little things I was going to say. One, if anybody actually likes Steven Crowder, just wish him luck, because I'm not sure how his surgery went, but it didn't look like it was as helpful as he was hoping for, so that's not good. Yeah. And the other one was for anybody who plays 7 Days to Die, just so that they updated the screamers, so have fun with that.
Okay. My advice to anyone who plays 7 Days to Die is don't.
Well, didn't
the last time
I play the shit out of that?
Yeah, they did. I also convinced them, and he failed miserably to make a pet out of his screamer because he didn't get the point. So in the game, you can take off all the limbs on a zombie and make them a pet because they can't move, and all they do is just leap at you. So I tried really hard to get Satsu to turn a screamer into one of those, and he didn't.
Yeah, I heard about Crowder going in the hospital, but I don't remember. I saw a picture of him in the hospital on the bed, and he had some kind of update, but I don't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah, something to do with his heart surgery. So I don't know the details because he was explaining it in a video, and I haven't watched it yet. But
of course, everybody left was hoping that he died.
Yeah, it was terrible. I stopped. I left Twitter after that point because I was like, okay, we get you don't like him, but wishing death upon somebody is really kind of shitty.
The same thing happened with Lindsey Graham. You hear about that? Lindsey Graham got COVID, and some female politician tweeted out, "I hope he dies," or "What would happen if he dies," or something like that. Politician, you think they would know better, but she immediately deleted it. But everybody caught it. It exists forever on the internet. So,
yeah.
Got anything, Terry?
I generally find wishing death upon people to be a little, vulgar. Probably best not to do that.
There are people that I hate, very small number of people that I hate, but I would never wish death on anybody. My most hateful thing I've said on Twitter this entire year is that I was happy that the women's soccer team lost, and I just wish that they would have.
Everyone was.
Yeah, I would just wish that they would have dragged Megan. What's her name?
Rapinoe or something.
Rapinoe, whatever. Drag her off by her white spiky hairdo. Drag her off the field.
I would still yell at her from across the field. Get in the kitchen and make me a sandwich, you hoe!
The reason I don't like her, the reason I I don't know if I can go as far as say I hate her, but the reason why I dislike her so strongly is not because of the person she is, the fact that she's on the left or any of that kind of stuff, but she just hates America. I don't have time for that. Get the hell out of our country. You hate it here? Leave.
Well, my issue is that she's representing the country that she hates.
Right.
Like that to me is a problem.
And of course,
like if you're representing the country and then you turn your back on the flag or whatever it was that she did, it's like, no, you can't do that.
I can't remember what field she was in, but there was this black girl who I think she won either the gold or the silver or something, and she was American, and she was hugging that flag. She was so freaking proud to be there. She was so proud to represent her country. She was so proud to do so well. She's smiling back at her family, and all I could think of, all these people who are just there to protest, you took that position from somebody who could have used it. Yeah. Because the people who are going to the Olympics are going to the Olympics because it helps them. A lot of people who go to the Olympics are poor. It's not everybody who has parents who have money who can just funnel shit to them so that they can just go. Not everybody is from the US either. Not everybody has the whatever amount of money they spend on you to go. So like when somebody from a small family gets to go, it's an amazing thing because they get a chance to support themselves and their family, and they get a chance to actually go and do something. And what it represents to the world is somebody that people look up to. So when I'm cheering for the Philippines, because I know that person worked their ass off to get there, to represent themselves and their families, knowing how little that they have. And these people are going on about other people's privilege all over the place. Oh, we got to protest this and that because everybody's got privilege. You are the ones with the privilege, taking the spots from people who could have used it. So don't talk to me about privilege. And I mean that sincerely, because they did that.
Jim Bean says wrestling is the sport that girl was competing in.
I was so proud of her. She's not from my country, but she was so happy and she was so proud. And to be honest, if I was a little girl, she would be my hero. I don't care what she looks like. She's an admirable person, and there's nothing wrong with being proud of where you're from. Even all the things that maybe you're not happy about with your country, you should still be proud of where you're from. Because you're making the future for your country. You're like, oh, my country sucks, so I'm gonna show everybody how I'm making it better by being a privileged piece of shit. Sorry.
Yeah. I was watching the track and field stuff, and there was a lot of Americans that were winning in track and field, and they would grab that flag and wrap it around themselves and wave to the crowd and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, that's how it's supposed to go.
That good for them,
That girl, what was her name? Glenn Berry? What was her name?
Yeah, Glenn Berry. Yeah, she lost.
She lost.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't think they appreciate how much disrespect you're also bringing to the field. Do your best to them. You were like, oh, I just need to prove to the world that, we're better than everyone else, and we're gonna, but you didn't. And that I think if I was if I was another person coming from another country and that's what I was facing, I would be disappointed. I would feel let down. Because the person I'm competing with doesn't even care about the sport. They just care about their their political points.
Johnny's in chat. Johnny Hellcat.
Hi, Johnny.
Our Thursday host.
We had a similar thing back in the 90s where there was an athlete named Kathy Freeman who held up the Aboriginal flag instead of the Australian flag after she won. I think it was like the Commonwealth Games. I don't think it was the Olympics. But yeah, there was a whole big stink because she, instead of running with the Australian flag, she had the Aboriginal flag. And I think, you're there representing Australia, not the Aboriginal people. The Australian flag, she had the Aboriginal flag. And I think.
I mean, if she'd done both, I would have been okay with it.
The Aboriginal people.
If she'd done both, I would have been okay with it. Just been like, I represent Australia, but I'm also wanting to represent. I would have been okay with that. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's frustrating.
Yeah. No, I think she should have just done the Australian flag. She's not there to represent Aborigines. She's there to represent Australia.
I mean, the last I checked, aren't the Aborigines a part of Australia? Like, they're Australian too, right?
Yeah. There's like American Indians for the U.S. and Eskimos for
the
Canada.
native population.
Yeah, native population.
The indigenous people.
So it does represent them. Like
Inuit, I think. Right.
At the end of the day, it still represents them. I get that there's history and angst, and we got that too. So, don't feel special, but you're still Canadian, you're still American, you're still Australian, you're still a part of the country.
Well, I watched some YouTube stuff for the Olympics. It was one of the topics I had tonight. I didn't think we were going to get to it, but we can chit chat about a little bit about it. I watched the Olympics on YouTube. I don't watch it on NBC, but it was the snippets were great. Just watching little pieces. That was awesome.
Well, that's good. I haven't. I mean, I do appreciate the Olympics. I just never really got into watching them the whole time, except for hockey. When it's hockey, I have to watch. It's like a national thing where we gotta cheer for Canada, and if we don't beat the U.S. and we don't beat the Russian, we're not doing it right.
Well, we once again, I gotta be proud of my country. The U.S. has the most medals for this year so far, but we're out pretty far ahead. We're like 25 or 30 medals ahead of everybody else. We started off slow, but we caught up.
I don't know if it was a real thing or not, but I did see a video where one of the Street Fighter players I watch on YouTube was competing to be in the Olympics, like to play Street Fighter. I don't know if that was like a real thing that they're planning to add to the Olympics, or it was just some tournament that the Olympics was like somehow tangentially involved in. But yeah, there were like rules on what costumes you were allowed to wear, because some of the costumes in the game are a bit eroticized, shall we say. And you went, so you had to use the tracksuit costume because that was like not revealing in any way. And like, they had like all these rules, and the guy actually qualified. So I don't know if that's actually going to be in the Olympics or what that was, but there's a video about him qualifying for it.
The Olympic rules, that's the thing. There's a lot of confusion I saw on Twitter about the apparel that they have to wear. Whenever a sport is introduced, the apparel that's being worn by the sport is adopted by the AOC. Is it AOC?
Yeah.
The
IOC,
time.
Isn't it?
IOC? Whatever it is. Olympic Committee.
International Olympic Committee?
Yeah, IOC. There you got it. Is adopted at the time. So beach volleyball, everyone who was playing beach volleyball, which was introduced by the Americans, everybody who's doing beach volleyball was wearing what they're wearing now. Tiny little bikini bottoms, tiny little bikini tops, that's it. And the guys were wearing shorts, and the guys still are wearing shorts. But then the leftists try to get in the way and saying, but you're sexualizing women. Well, none of the athletes who are wearing this had a problem, except for one group who wanted to wear boxer shorts. And the reason they weren't allowed to wear boxer shorts was not so much that the rules were already written in stone, although that was one of them. But when you're wearing bikinis, your legs will rub together. It is skin-on-skin contact. By wearing boxer shorts, you're putting cloth between your legs. That means that you have an advantage of people who don't have to deal with the friction of skin on skin. It's a very small advantage, but that's why they didn't do it. It's not because of the looks, although that's why it started. You would have to have every team who did beach volleyball would all have to agree on changing the attire and then petition the IOC, and then the IOC would change it.
Yeah.
But that's not going to happen.
It's also in the beginning, you got to remember that volleyball was done on the beach. So shorts with sand.
Not a good thing.
No.
And indoor volleyball,
I mean, if they brought sand to the event, maybe they'd understand that. But
indoor volleyball, the attire is different from beach volleyball. If you watch the indoor games, they have jerseys on. They're still what would you call them? Bicycle shorts, where they're form-fitting, but they're shorts. They're They're not briefs. They're not small. But so it's not like they're being sexist and forcing all the women to wear bikinis. That's not the way it is. It got out of hand, and I just don't. It's just very much leftist chatter, if you ask me.
Well, yeah, anything that shows a little bit too much skin and might make a guy look at you a little bit sexually is an automatic no-no. Even if honestly, they're the ones doing it. They're the ones doing it. Nobody watching volleyball. Okay, listen, some people watch volleyball to look at the bodies. I'm not going to lie. Some guys are good-looking volleyball players, too. I don't watch a lot of volleyball, but I'm sure that's the same for the men and the women. But most people who are watching the sport are watching the sport.
Yeah. But I do get if the Olympics does want to desexualize to a degree, because kids do watch the Olympics. I mean,
yeah, but
I can understand
bikini,
if they're like, we want to keep this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Good, sorry.
No, sorry.
Well, I was just saying that what you're seeing, the most sexual thing in the entire Olympics would be beach volleyball, right?
Yeah.
And that what I see women wearing in beach volleyball is what you would see any woman wearing on a beach. So I don't see how that would be bad for kids. It's just bikinis.
No. But my point is just that I can understand if the Olympics would make that rule and say, look, we want to be able to broadcast at a time when kids are allowed to watch. If we cross, some sort of rule with the broadcaster, then they might say they can only show the stuff after 9 p.m. I mean, I can understand if they have standards that they want to make sure all across the world, no matter what the broadcast standards are, they can be shown.
Well, I guess you can't even show beach volleyball in some of the Islamic countries.
Right? Yeah, that would be a thing.
Yeah, so I could understand if they changed the rules on beach volleyball because of that. I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because you're not going to make money if you can't broadcast to that group of people.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's all about the money.
Yeah. But they're gonna word it so that it's sexualizing instead of just being like, just so you know, other countries just don't really appreciate this style, so we're gonna change it for this reason. That would have been a little bit more understandable.
But no, they can still call it sexualizing because that's basically the issue. Is if you go to Saudi Arabia, they're probably not going to be supportive of you putting women in bikinis on their television sets, and so they'll probably say, no, we will just simply not broadcast women beach volleyball. And then they can't make money. So
Pete says when it comes to diving, all the women wear one-piece swimsuit. Sexy on some of the girls, but not erotic.
That
I didn't really consider swimming, but yeah, I guess because they're pretty form-fitting and they're wet. I mean, there could be something there. But I've watched beach volleyball, and I might tune into it to see who the cute girls are who are playing, but I'm not watching because they're wearing bikinis. I don't know if you ever watched beach volleyball, but those women are not. They're very athletic and they don't weigh very much. They're not particularly voluptuous. Would be a good word.
I wouldn't expect them to be. They're athletes.
Right. So, I mean, really, I don't think anybody's. I mean, there might be a few people watching it because they're scantily dressed.
Yeah. But I think it makes more sense if they come at it from, we want to broadcast across the world. It's the international games.
Right.
If certain regions won't broadcast the game because we go against their cultural standards, then we need to address that. And I would have no problem if that was their argument for taking away the bikinis and putting something less revealing on the girls.
Did any of the Muslim countries join this year's games? Do you see Saudi Arabia and all that kind of stuff? I don't even know if.
Well, I know Israel did, so I don't know.
Yeah, they're pretty westernized by comparison to Saudi Arabia. I'd be interested to see if they did, because I remember a few Olympics ago they had female runners who were wearing full body tracksuits from head to toe. It was covering their heads and most of their, just a very small area in their faces where they could but the entire body was covered, although it was very form-fitting. I just wondered, I don't remember seeing any of that this year.
I don't know. I don't follow the Olympics. I'm just arguing on principle, is that I could understand if they made this argument.
Yeah. It would be a valid argument. It would basically just be saying we want money, but it would be a valid argument. But I mean, the whole thing is there to make money. It's not.
Well, it's also to be inclusive too, though. Like, it's one of those times where you are trying to be inclusive, is to let everybody join so that they feel comfortable to join. Mm-hmm. So I can get that too. You know, like, even if I don't necessarily agree with Saudi Arabia, I can respect that they do have their differences and try to meet them halfway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't remember seeing them this year. I was just wondering if they decided not to.
I didn't see them either. At least that I know of.
Maybe they just do winter games because everybody's clothed in winter. There's no winter games where anyone's sexy in the winter games, right?
I don't think so.
I can't imagine.
Ice skating? The figure skating?
Maybe figure skating.
But even...
Maybe.
Yeah, I'd say so. But I mean, even still, though, I think that if they went after those girls, that they would have a different fight on their hands, because those girls pick out their outfits.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean...
They do.
There's somebody in there from Saudi Arabia. Maybe Saudi Arabia would pick out their outfits. They wouldn't allow the girls to.
But I mean, you can do that in ice skate. It's, you know, it's just a matter of whether or not you can do your moves and wear what you're wearing. That's.
Yeah.
You can be a woman and be fully clothed. It's just most of them pick their outfits. So like if you're going with a theme or something, you're going to dress for your theme, because it's usually revolving around music.
Right.
I could understand if they had requirements, like you can pick your outfit as long as it complies with these conditions. Like, you can't wear like a piece of string. You have to wear like something that covers you up. I can understand if like the committee says, no, these are the rules on. You can choose your outfits, but they have to meet these standards.
Mm-hmm. And now that I think about it, there's been some pretty sexy outfits in the figure skating group anyway, and especially some of the moves they do.
That's why they wear that. I mean, it's both because it's conforming, like it fits to the body. It's like a ballerina in a sense.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing flips and shit, like the last thing you need to be worrying about is your outfit tripping you.
Right.
Because that's a good way to die.
All right. Well, we're coming up on 2 hours. I think we want to get out of here. I don't want to go too long.
Yeah.
Didn't want to touch too much on the Olympics anyway. But maybe next week, when more of the Olympics have been finished and there's more medals to go around, maybe I can come up with some good events that came from the games. That would be interesting to do. So, but we'll go ahead and get out of here. Let me throw some music on for the people. Let them know that we're heading out.
Sure. All right. Well, later.
I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight and chat. Pete, it's good to see you guys. Again, thank you, my hosts, Jen and Terry. I didn't call you Jenna the entire night. I'm proud of myself. And we'll go ahead and get out of here. Thanks for coming, everybody. Have a great night.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good one, guys. Also, I hope she makes me a proper Canadian sub when she gets off the soccer field.
Here I am once again.